welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. This is Dianne, your lactation consultant.
And I'm Abby, the Badass Breastfeeder, and today's episode is brought to you by Similry Breast Pumps. Similry Breast Pumps helps you personalize your breastfeeding and pumping journey so that comfortable pump sessions are the norm, not the exception. And we will hear more from our sponsor later, but you can head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com and check out our sponsor page. If you ever need anything, see if you can give them any of your business because they make this podcast possible. And while you're there, scroll down and enter your email address, and we'll send episodes straight to your inbox every week. And also, while you're there, you can check out our Patreon page where actually we have a wall of fame of all of our patrons that have ever joined us. And you could check out our tiers there to see if any of them look good to you and join us for the fun that we're having privately. And we're also still hosting our ongoing giveaway for people who leave reviews around the internet. Take a screenshot of that review or stars or some rating and send it to badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com. And we will send you a goodie bag of stickers and thank you for nursing in public cards and just fun stuff for you to pass around or put on your water bottle or give to your friends. And now Dianne has our review of the week.
And it says, press play on any episode. It's the best podcast. It's the breast podcast ever. Oh, I almost missed that. The breast podcast ever. Thank you, Dianne and Abby, for your insight, validation, myth busting, normalizing, and reality checks. I've laughed, I've cried, I've felt welcomed into the circle of motherhood. While in the car or in the nursery at 3 a.m., listening feels like something I can do for me and to learn while hanging out with the girls. I appreciate not just the knowledge, but the wisdom you share about all things breastfeeding. I only wish I'd found this podcast sooner when cluster feeding made me doubt everything at 1 week postpartum. I share with all my breastfeeding and soon to be postpartum friends so they feel empowered sooner. Forever grateful to you both for the goodness that you bring to us mamas and our babies. Aw.
That's so sweet. And that also reminds me that I feel like I've always had this idea of like making an episode that was just for like people to listen to in the middle of the night, like not really about anything. Maybe like, well, I know we had that one. Oh my God, I'm blanking on her name right now. It's so horrible. But she does sound therapy, and we were gonna. I gotta have her back, and she was gonna do a whole session, a whole episode where it was just sound therapy, where she hits these little like bells and bongs or whatever that you can just listen to while you're feeding your baby, maybe in the middle of the night, and like be relaxing and stuff. And then maybe we could do another one that's like, I don't know, our favorite jokes or like just crazy stories that have nothing to do with anything that people could just listen to in the middle of the night when they're bored or stressed out or whatever.
Yeah, you're just looking for something to
or we just whisper sweet nothings into your ear all night. Like, you're so beautiful.
You're doing a wonderful job.
Yes, you're such a great mom and you have such beautiful eyes.
That would be a necessary thing.
Yeah.
I think.
If anybody has ideas, let us know because we should totally do that.
That would be a lot of fun. I think we should. Today we're going to do some myth busting. Well,
that's
love
fun
the
too.
myths.
Yeah,
I know. I love them. And she mentioned that in her review about the myth busting. Yeah. And the myths, if you've listened to a myth episode ever before, we have several of them. We haven't done one in quite a while. And I love the myths episode because they're so full of crap. It's such junk that's out there that people believe and benefit from and pass around. And it's just like, oh my gosh. But sometimes they're serious enough that people will stop breastfeeding over them. And I think that that's just shameful that people are spreading things that they think, I don't even know. Like, obviously people think this stuff is true because that's why they're spreading it around, but it can be very harmful.
Well, I mean, some of the biggest myths that are out there were actually started by like formula companies back in, the beginning of the 1900s when they were trying to get a hold on the market. And they're just like, your breast milk doesn't have enough calories, doesn't have enough fat, or, your no calcium. Or I know we did an episode on this and some of those myths. I can't remember exactly what they were, but like some of them come directly from that shit 100 years ago.
And it's still floating around.
And because it's so ingrained. It's like literally part of our culture now. Mm-hmm. And people, and you just don't realize how deeply this stuff runs. And it's just in us. We're like, we've been, it's been several generations where this stuff has really sunk in, and we have internalized like just the distrust in our bodies and our, because, and it's so interesting because breastfeeding, it so clearly is like what was under attack, because you don't generally, when you're pregnant, like you're not just like, oh my God, does my body know how to grow this baby? Like what if, people don't usually, there wasn't any way for anybody to make money off of pregnancy.
Right.
So you just kind of get pregnant and you're like, okay, of course, maybe you worry about like if you should be eating something or if you should, whatever. But you're not just like crippled with the idea that your body can't do it.
Exactly.
Your body just does it. And then suddenly your body grew this whole baby, a whole entire human being. And you're just like, oh, I don't know if my body doesn't know what to do. It's crazy. It's crazy. The switch that happens.
It's just
anyway. I digress.
Unbelievable. But we're going to do some myths today.
Yeah.
To bring everybody back into reality again.
Yes.
Because it's chaos out there in the world of social media and internet.
I know.
And some of these, you just do a little quick Google search and you can realize that it's crap.
Yeah.
Like it's not,
And it's everywhere. I feel like I look through my feed and I just am like, what? Why is this? Why? What?
Yeah, you can't even keep up with it sometimes.
It's not even how. That's not true. Like we know that's not true.
Yeah.
But also you have to be careful too, because people are still trying to make money.
Mm-hmm.
That's how people make money off of whatever product they're selling or even a service that they're selling. A lot of times the way to get your business is to just make you doubt what's happening or make you feel like, there's something wrong is happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's how they get you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes it's as easy as like a family member giving you some kind of old ass information and they're trying to get you to switch to formula. Like that'll happen too. They'll try and, family members try to get you to not breastfeed anymore. And they give you some really bad information. Like the time my mom told me that I couldn't make milk because I didn't drink milk. Like that.
Yeah.
That's myth. That's a perfect example of a myth that is still out there even that was trying to get me to not breastfeed.
You can't make breast milk if you don't drink cow's milk, or or also known as in our culture, regular milk.
Real milk.
All you got to do is think about it for a second and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
And I'm like not even telling you not to drink it because I was
don't
vegan.
Drink it, yeah.
I was vegan for a really long time and just recently gave it all up. So I've been having cow's milk stuff and it's fine. It's, cheese. It's delicious. But you don't need it to make.
No, you don't need it to make milk. My God.
It's so funny.
So can I do one?
Yes, finally. God, hurry up.
We're finally to it. So this one, I had a client recently tell me that she saw this on a mom's page on Facebook.
Oh, those are the worst.
They are the worst. And it's that Dr. Pepper improves milk supply.
Oh my God. I just saw something about Dr. Pepper.
Get out. Did you really?
No, but it was completely unrelated.
Oh, okay.
Breastfeeding. It was something like, feel the wrath of standing between me and my Dr. Pepper or something like that. I don't know.
Well, obviously it's the wrath of an increased milk supply with Dr. Pepper.
Oh my God. Ew.
It's crazy. That is like, and I had never heard that one before. I've heard the pink drink from Starbucks. I've heard Body Armor. I've heard Gatorade. I've heard all of that junk, which all of those are myths. Yeah. And this is like, why would anybody think that a soda, but people just get desperate enough to try.
Right. I feel like at least with Gatorade, you might think like, oh, because it's got like electrolytes and like stuff in it. You might think like, oh, well, maybe that does help, if you just don't know. But like Dr. Pepper, that's just like corn syrup and other stuff.
Sugar.
Right? Yeah, sugar and corn syrup. No, I don't know. That doesn't do anything for you. It's delicious. Don't get me wrong. I love Dr. Pepper.
I know Dr. Pepper is good. But yeah, it doesn't do anything for your milk supply. That was, and I told her because she was like, and then I did drink one. I did have one or whatever. And I said, it's a lot of what happens. This is what happens. People get worried about their milk supply. So they start pumping, they start taking herbs, things like moringa and fenugreek, thinking that that's going to do it. Then they start drinking Dr. Pepper. They start doing all of these things. It may be feeding the baby more frequently or feeding the baby on demand. And then they go, oh, it must have been that Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
No, it was the stimulation. It was the pumping. It was the feeding. It didn't have anything to do with those other things. Mm-hmm. But start doing you do like you try 4 or 5 different things, seeing what's going to stick. And it's never the realistic thing that sticks. It's always like, oh, it must have been that Dr. Pepper. It must have been those Oreos. That was another one we had one time. Oreos did it.
Oh God. That's, oh my God. I feel like that goes along with like any kind of drink or any kind of food or any kind of supplement that's a myth. Is there anything? Isn't there? What's that called? Domperidone. What's the word?
Domperidone works because that's an actual galactagogue. So, but it works because it messes with your prolactin levels. So it increases your prolactin levels, which increases your milk supply. But domperidone isn't going to work if your prolactin levels are fine. So if it's a problem with like the baby taking milk and causing a milk supply issue because the baby's not taking milk well, then
how do you know if you're having like a baby problem or a prolactin problem?
You see a lactation consultant.
Of course, that's the answer.
Yes, of course, that's the answer. Because the lactation consultant can determine like, okay, is this a baby issue or is this a milk supply problem? Is the baby not transferring milk well? That's something a lactation consultant can determine. So like a prolactin
problem would be like a true like low milk supply hormonal, like some sort of like actual milk supply issue.
Yes.
Because that's often the confusion too, is that your baby is struggling to transfer milk. And so you feel like you have less milk or you do have less milk, but you don't have a milk supply problem because you could have plenty of milk if your baby was able to just get it out.
Exactly.
So is it like a you problem or a baby problem? I mean, you're a set. There's no blame. But
exactly. But we blame the baby all the time.
Yeah, you can't figure out what's wrong if you don't know. Yeah. So what the galactagogue is domperidone? I feel like is that it? Can you get it in the US?
No, you can't.
Why?
Because it can also impact like heart murmurs or like heart arrhythmias or something.
Okay.
Not murmurs, but arrhythmias. I don't know, something like that. It can affect your heart. And so they discontinued it in the US. You can get it all over the world. You just can't get it in the US. Because people use it for other things too. It's not just it's an off label. It increases prolactin. Like that's not what it was meant to do.
I see.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was meant for. Yeah.
What other galactagogues? Is like goat's rue? Is that a galactagogue or is that another one of those supplements that's...
That's
Or
they're herbal galactagogues. Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
the herbal stuff, like things like moringa and fenugreek and goat's rue, like those kinds of things are, people think like that they can increase your milk supply, but there's really no research behind it. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, then how much do you take? And herbals aren't regulated by the FDA. So you don't really know like how much to take and whether or not they're actually, like the pill that you're taking says it's 1200 milligrams. Is it really 1200 milligrams or is it not? Like, you just don't know. But people have been using herbs all over the world for, millions of years for stuff.
And that's what you usually hear is you're like, oh, because I remember like moringa or something was like Indonesia or some Asian country was like, I don't know, they used it all the time.
Yeah.
So then you're like, oh, it must be true because the rest of the world is smarter than us. That's what I always think. Then I'm like, it must be true.
I know it.
Anyway, I know I keep going on and on about this one. Should I do one and then we'll take a break?
Yeah.
All right. Here's a myth. Infants don't remember anything, so it doesn't really matter what their experience is.
Oh, God. That's terrible.
Well, it's like, well, I don't know. I've had these conversations like, well, when they're little, like, let's go on a trip to Europe. And it's like, well, they're not going to remember it. So like, what's the point? Sure. They don't remember things like that. That's true. They don't have that, memory, like
that long-term memory
that
kind of thing.
Long-term memory that starts to stick around, I don't know, 4.
I think it is around 4.
Something like that. Even though I know people have experiences and remember things. I remember things, weird things, like I was sticking a finger in a cow's nose, which I know I was way younger than 4, but I still remember that. Well, where we lived had this farm next to it, and the cow would sit there, and I would go over it. I can remember putting my finger in its nose.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, it was a very patient cow, I guess. But, yeah, that's a myth. Like, your baby we've talked about a million times, like, about the development and the attachment that's being formed from in utero, actually. Like while you're still pregnant, your baby's developing. You're inside your body, this, and they just continue to grow and develop, and you're kind of setting up you're wiring their brain for the rest of their lives from infancy.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't remember things, like they can't talk to you about it like the next day, but it does matter.
It does matter. That's the thing I thought was kind of sad, was like, so it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter what you do because they're not going to remember it anyway. And It's like, that's sad though. I mean, what you're doing does matter.
Yeah.
And no, they might not remember the act of breastfeeding if you wean at a year or earlier or, whatever, but they might, their system, their brain remembers what you're doing with them.
The brain remembers everything. Mm-hmm. There's what's that book? The Body Keeps the Score.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great book about how your body and your brain keeps all of your experiences stored inside. Yeah. So, I mean, if you listen to any kind of sleep episode or anything that we've done about, cry it out or things like that, like that's like, it does matter when your baby's crying and you don't answer the cry, or you don't go and get them or soothe them, hold your baby close, like that those kinds of, the implications of that are lifelong.
Mm-hmm.
So not to stress anybody out, but like everything you do all the time matters.
Yeah, for sure.
And now let's take a break and hear from Similry. Similry Breast Pumps helps you personalize your breastfeeding journey. Comfortable pumping sessions should be the norm, not the exception. With the Similary S6 series gentle flow technology, your comfort comes first. With adjustable cycle speed and suction strength in both modes that offer 85 setting combinations, you can fine-tune pump sessions to what works and feels best for you. A safe choice for everyone, all Similary pump parts and storage bags are phthalate, BPA, and BPS free. With a team of CLCs and free resources for families, Similary gives vital tools for a successful journey. You can check out all their pumps and accessories at similrybreastpumps.com. That's Similary. It is CIMILRE breastpumps.com. And you can use code BADASS for 15% off of anything on their website. And the Similary S6 is pretty badass. So I would check that out. 85 combination settings. I mean, if you're looking to personalize something, there you go.
Yeah.
And warning, maybe we should do an episode on just like using a pump, because people want to just put the pump on and then turn it all the way up. And don't do that.
No, you're going to hurt yourself.
That's going to hurt, and it's not going to get the milk out. We just think like, well, the harder we pull, the more. That's not true. So visit Similary Breast Pumps. Use code BADASS for 15% off, and the direct link and the promo code are in the show notes under this episode, wherever you're listening from. They're also over at badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com, where you'll find all of our other episodes, our resources page, and information about scheduling your very own one-on-one online lactation consultation with Dianne.
So should I go? Should I do my next one? So this one came from that thing that you sent me a few weeks ago. And I don't know, what was that like? Was she like a pregnancy influencer, or I don't know what she was.
I can't even remember now where I found that.
Saying that calcium, your body is losing calcium when you breastfeed, is what she said. So that is a situation where something like that will cause somebody, hearing something like that might cause somebody to go, well, I can't afford to lose calcium. I'm not going to breastfeed, or my body's losing calcium and I'm going to get osteoporosis later on in life and all of this stuff. That is not true. What is true? Yes, if you don't have enough calcium. So, and we've talked about diet. I think we did an episode just not too long ago about diet and breastfeeding. We did, actually. Yeah. And if you're maintaining a normal diet, you're fine. There's nothing to worry about. Your body is going to your body's going to do what it needs to do to give to your baby. It is going to draw calcium. If your body is low on calcium, it is going to draw it from your bones to help produce your milk if there is a decrease in calcium in your body. However, that is regained after weaning. And people that breastfeed actually have less instances of osteoporosis later on in life. So that is not true that people say, oh yeah, you're going to lose calcium. You might lose some calcium from your bones, but it is regained back after you wean. So this is not a lifelong impact that it's giving you. It is actually good for your body to breastfeed because it does protect you from osteoporosis later on in life. There is research about that. So it is ridiculous that people think that that they're going to lose all of this. They're just going to lose all of this stuff when they're breastfeeding. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, I'm going to lose all these nutrients in my body and I'm not going to be able to function and my body's going to go to crap. That's not what's going on. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, I was happy to see in the comments that there were a couple of I mean, it doesn't look like she. Oh yeah, it's holistic, nourishing fertility, pregnancy, postpartum, and babies. It's like a nutritionist. I was happy to see, first of all, that. Well, no, it does. There's like a lot of followers, but anyway, there was like a few comments, and a couple of the comments were like, "Stop." Stop scaring people. Like, this is not, and they gave some good information. This person says pregnancy and breastfeeding hormones change the way her body absorbs vitamins and minerals, meaning, for example, she can absorb more calcium through an unchanged diet. And this other person goes on, like, women who are breastfeeding increase their gut absorption of calcium from their diet. Women who are breastfeeding decrease their calcium losses in urine. Women who nurse for prolonged time have higher osteocalcin levels, which is the hormone that helps build new bone. So it's almost like your body knows how to handle the changes that happen after having a baby.
And that is a perfect example of somebody saying something because they want your business. And she is trying to get you to come over to her dark side of nutrition.
Right.
Not that nutrition is the dark side, but she's the dark side.
Right.
For giving bad information.
Right. Yeah. And it's like this is what we do with research. We pick it apart. And like there, at some point, there's research done on, a person's body and what happens after they have a baby. And, there was changes in the calcium. Okay. So we talk about that. Then we pull that out of the research article without going on to see how your body makes up for that and just go, oh, look, your body loses calcium. Okay. Well, you can't just take one thing out of a research article. This is what we do all the time. This is why, this is how we get to the idea that like alcohol is good for you because it lowers like something. And it's like, well, but you got to read on, man. Cause that's,
I know,
there's more like, just because, probably heroin addicts have lower cholesterol. That doesn't mean that you should take heroin when you have high cholesterol. That just happens to be one of the side effects of, your body and yeah, it's just not, it's harmful information.
It is.
This is exactly, I feel like exactly what this is a perfect example of a myth that is harmful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it absolutely is. Yep. Hey, what do you got?
All right, let's see. What else do I have? I have this one. Okay. So, it was this page. It was just so as you will notice, we don't name the pages because I don't really know the pages. I don't want to just be like, this page sucks. I don't know. This one seems to just be kind of like a generic page. I don't really know I don't know. But it says, are you still offering night feeds, but your baby isn't interested in their morning feed? It might be time to reduce those overnight feeds. If your baby wakes at 7 a.m. ready and eager for breakfast, those night feeds are still likely necessary. But if they're feeding overnight and then refusing their first morning feed, it's a sign that they may no longer need those night feeds. As a baby grows, they naturally transition to getting calories they need during the day. Eliminating the need for overnight feeds. Not sure if your baby is waking due to hunger or something else. Watch how they respond during that first morning feed. Okay. I have so much to say.
I have never met a baby that refused their morning feeding.
No. And since when do we withhold a feeding to encourage another feeding?
It doesn't make sense.
Like, so you're just going to not feed your baby so they can build up hunger? And breastfeeding is so much more than food. This is just a piece of what is going on in the night with your baby. Your baby is learning to self-soothe. Yes, breastfeeding is self-soothing. That's what they are doing. They are soothing themselves by suckling on a breast. They're learning how to go to sleep. They're learning to self-soothe. They are certainly at times during the night filling their bellies because they are too young to like have a giant meal and then be held over for several hours. Breast milk is thin, easily digested. They eat frequently. And this is just how they behave. You're not. Now, people who want to stop night feeding, that's your business. I mean, there's Dr. Jay Gordon has this night weaning protocol. Like, it's gentle. It's, it's not cry it out. It's kind of this thing. If you want to go through that, more power to you. That's fine. But your baby is not just waking up because they're hungry. They're waking up because they need help to go back to sleep. And depending on their age, they're not wired. They're not capable. They're not ready yet. They're not developmentally ready to sleep for long periods of time. So your baby is waking for a whole host of reasons throughout the night, depending on their age. And she doesn't say anything about ages here. She just says babies, which is also extremely confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Because a 1-month-old baby and a 5-month-old baby and a 9-month-old baby are like different species.
Oh my God.
And
so
also
different.
very similar, very similar waking up, but the intricacies of that are extremely different. So it matters, not just babies. But this idea, the thing that got me in the gut was like withholding this feed so that they'll eat more in the morning. And why do you need them to eat more of that morning feed? Because if you take away those night feeds, they're still going to wake up.
Right.
And again, depending on the age, that they have to eat. They have to eat at that time. Their body is hungry at that time. That's why they're waking up.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just go, no, not time to eat. It's not mealtime yet. I mean, this isn't how their body works. And this just sounds to me like somebody who is going to be doing sleep training with your baby.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to pay them for that so that you can kind of get this promise that your baby's going to not wake up during the night. And that's not how it works.
No, it's not.
We're going to wake up. Whether the baby is formula fed, whether they're breastfed, whether you try to put them in a sleeper hold to make them pass out, they're going to wake up. Don't do that, obviously.
Don't do that.
But they're going to wake up. That's what they do. They are not capable of staying asleep that long. And it's up to you. It's your business what you do with that. Like if you want a night wean, first of all, you cannot do that with a baby that's under 12 months old. Do not do that. You can start some gentle sleep training, after 1 year if you want. But they're still going to wake up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And if your baby doesn't wake up and they sleep through the night, then just count your blessings, because that's not what we would expect.
Right. And they might not do that forever either.
No.
So it changes.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I've never met a baby that doesn't eat in the morning. So I think that is something that she totally made up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of babies over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
They all eat in the morning.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
Don't let these things make you think that your baby is needs to be doing something else.
No, not at all. Do we have time for one more, you think?
Yeah, let's do one more. Or let's do, you have one more, right?
Yeah, I have one more.
Yeah, you do it.
Okay. Waiting longer between pumping is better for your milk supply.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know why we've never talked about this before, but it does come up where people think, like, if you are an exclusive pumper or if you're pumping at work or, whatever, people go, oh, but if I wait longer, like if I pump it 2 hours, I might only get 2 ounces of milk. But if I pump it 5 hours, I'll get 4 or 5 ounces of milk. And it's like, no. What happens is it might look like you're getting more milk, But what happens is when you stretch those pump sessions out like that, you're actually going to decrease your milk supply as time goes on. So the way your body works is the more stimulation, the more milk it's going to make. The more you tell it you need the milk, the more it's going to make. So the frequent pumping sessions are what's going to keep your milk supply higher, not waiting in longer stretches in between to where you're going to get more milk. And it can be really deceiving because it really does look like, oh, well, if I just wait longer, I'll get more. But over time, that's going to destroy your milk supply.
Yeah, your body gets the idea that it doesn't need all that milk. It's like, well, this milk is just sitting in here. So we don't need to be making as much.
Yeah.
So the more you're pulling it out, the more your body's like, oh, shit, okay, we need all this.
Yeah, that's not how it works. We need those frequent feed, just like your baby would do if your baby was with you. Frequent feedings. And that's what we do for parents that are pumping. They're at work. We want to keep on what the baby's doing at least every 2 or 3 hours. If we stretch it out too far, your body's going to think it doesn't need that milk, like Abby said. And it's going to slow down production. And that's not what we want for you. So even though it might look like you're getting more milk if you go longer stretches, over time it's going to cause your milk supply to drop. So doing the more frequent pumpings is what's going to keep your milk supply high.
Love it.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, thanks for listening. Let us know if you have any myths. We'll do another episode because I'm sure you guys hear this crap all the time. So send us an email, badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com.
Bye.
Bye.